And we're recording.
Hey guys, it's Coach John from CrossFit Wichita. Today I have Lisa Perkins from Primal Fit ICT here today to talk about pre and post workout nutrition. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
So one of the things we're going to talk about today, and one of the most important things you guys have to keep in mind, the question that we all need to ask ourselves is, what is your big goal? So Lisa, how do we address that?
So there are a lot of misconceptions about pre and post workout nutrition. You go online, you go to bodybuilding.com and you type in pre and post workout nutrition, and you are going to get a prescription that's typically appropriate for someone who is trying to achieve mass gains. They're trying to build body mass. That's going to be their specific goal. So the most important question that you need to ask yourself before you filter this information that you're finding online is, what is your unique goal? What is your biggest goal? So is your biggest goal to lose extra body fat? Is your biggest goal performance and setting PRs in the gym? Is your biggest goal increasing muscle mass? Because your pre and post workout nutrition is going to look very different depending on which one of these is your primary goal. Now, some people have, some of these, they may be A, B, and C, but you have to basically prioritize these. Your nutritional needs are going to be very, very different. So these are the things that you need to ask yourself. So that would be first thing I would encourage you to think about.
Right. Now I know for me personally, my goal is putting on some mass, getting some big numbers up there, because I'm naturally a thin person, so I've never really had to worry about the fat loss part. So somebody else would be the complete opposite, have a totally different plan.
Yeah.
So, all right. So next question, a lot of us ask is, are you going to be training in a fasted or fed state? That's a really important thing.
Right. So most of the studies that are out there that say that you need pre-workout nutrition, those are based on individuals who are training in a fasted state. For example, they're training first thing in the morning, they have no nutrition on board. But if you're in the situation where you're training in the evening and you've had breakfast, you've had lunch, you maybe had a pre-workout meal a few hours before you come into the gym, your pre-workout needs are going to be very, very minimal. For those of you that are training first thing in the morning, again, you're going to need to figure out, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, the volume and intensity of your workout, but having some amino acids on board and maybe a little bit of carbs, maybe half a banana on board within that hour pre-workout will be very important. And the reason for that is that you want to make sure that you are minimizing muscle breakdown during the workout and you are maximizing muscle recovery. So we didn't really talk about the real purpose for pre and post workout nutrition, and one of the biggest things that's often overlooked is for post workout nutrition, we're trying to bring down the stress hormones that we generate during a workout, and those are like cortisol and aldosterone, testosterone, especially for women. A lot of women that work out really hard, they can get acne, and their testosterone levels are staying high throughout the day post-workout. So getting some carbs on board post-workout can really bring down those stress hormones and get us back into a relaxed state and stay out of a fat storage state. One of the things I want to touch on is the two nutrients that are really important post-workout are protein and carbs, and fat not so much. What is the purpose of those carbohydrates? They are to trigger an insulin response. Insulin is an anabolic hormone. Insulin is a storage hormone. Essentially what insulin does is open the doors to our cells and allows us to bring that protein into our cells.
Right.
So that's going to help us with muscle building and muscle recovery. Having the ability to recover faster is really important if you're especially working out a few days a week. So we really want that insulin spike post-workout, but we don't want it too high, and that insulin spike will again help bring down those stress hormones.
Right. So you guys are getting even extra gold nuggets on your skincare tips and everything.
Yeah,
keeping
we
you
do
guys
what we
looking
can.
clean.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's go on to volume and intensity then.
Sure. So again, the first question that is the most important is, what are your goals? The second most important question is, what is the volume and intensity of your workout? So say for example, you're coming in and you're going to do a 2-hour Olympic lifting session. Your pre and post workout nutrition and intra workout nutrition is going to be you're going to have a very high need to maximize that nutrition. If you're coming in to do a typical CrossFit WOD, you're not going to need near as much pre and post workout nutrition. So you need to really think about what you're doing in the gym. If you're going to a spin class, you probably don't need any pre-workout nutrition, and post-workout, a little bit of carbs, a little bit of protein.
Right.
So,
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So how do you determine your gram for gram intake? How much
That,
you're consuming?
that's the tangible takeaway here. How do you know? So a good rule of thumb is that if you are doing a heavy lifting workout, for example, not a lot of Metcons, you want a 2-to-1 carbohydrate to protein ratio. So that would mean twice as many carbohydrates to protein. How do you determine that for yourself? You base that on 20% of your body weight. So I have a couple of examples because it's like, well, what does that mean? So say for example, if you are a 140-pound woman and you were on this 2-to-1 ratio, that would be about 50 grams of carbs, because 25 grams would be 20% of your body weight. So 50 grams of carbs and 25 grams of protein. So that's what you're looking at. If you're a 200-pound man, that would be 80 grams of carbs and 40 grams of protein. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you, the only other thing I would say about that is that if you're doing a highly metabolic workout, a long Metcon, say 45 minutes or longer.
Like a Murph or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
you want that to be a 3-to-1 ratio.
Ooh.
So 3 grams of
That's a lot
carbs
of
to
carbs.
1 gram of protein.
Yeah.
Again, what are we trying to do here? We are trying to refill the glycogen stores in our muscles for our next workout. We're trying to bring down those stress hormones, and we're trying to open the door to our cells so that we can get the protein in, build muscle, and aid in recovery.
Right. Basically, so you're just not
Right.
running on empty.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Let's see. Are you open to supplementation, or do you prefer to just eat real food?
Right, right. So as a paleo health coach, I advocate that folks get most of their nutrition from real food, and you definitely can fuel pre and post workout with just real food. So your carb sources might be potatoes, it might be rice post workout, and some protein, some meat. But if you are open to supplementation, maybe pre-workout you're taking some BCAAs or a complete amino acid supplement. Maybe post-workout you're having a clean whey protein shake with a banana, maybe some almond butter in it, something like that. So it really depends on what your philosophy is
Yeah.
as far as that goes. And we can delve into supplementation in
Later
depth.
on.
Yeah, at another time.
I know me personally, like one of the biggest supplements I notice improvements
Yeah.
with is branched chain amino acids.
Absolutely.
Something you can actually feel
Right.
helping you recover the
Right.
next day.
Right.
Yeah.
So the 3 amino acids in BCAAs are leucine, isoleucine, and valine, and they are the biggest drivers of recovery and muscle gain.
Yeah.
So basically, those are the 3 amino acids that are extracted from all of the amino acids that you'd find in meat.
Right.
So you get a concentrated form
Which
of
is awesome.
the really big movers. Those
Yeah.
are the big rocks. So
Yeah.
yeah, they can be very helpful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. What foods should you include?
Okay,
Yeah.
so we touched on that just a little bit. So pre-workout, again, it really depends on what your goals are, what you've had that day, if you're in a fasted state, and what kind of workout you're going to be doing. At bare minimum, for myself, I always take a complete amino acid supplement pre-workout. If I am basically in a fasted state, say for example, I haven't eaten anything for maybe 4 to 5 hours,
Yeah.
I'm maybe gonna get 20 grams of carbs on board, maybe an hour pre-workout,
Right.
if I haven't had anything. If I've eaten a good meal, like a balanced meal with some carbs and protein in it a few hours prior, I'm not gonna worry about that. I'll just do the amino acids.
Yeah.
Post-workout, in that 20, so, all of the bodybuilding sites, they call that the window of gains.
The
The
anabolic
20
window.
to
Yeah.
60 minute post-workout interval.
Yeah.
It really does make a difference
Yeah.
because you are the most insulin sensitive during that time. And I will say that if you're on kind of a low carb protocol and you've got a little bit of a sweet tooth, this is going to be the time
That's the time to go.
to get something in there. You're not going to do a lot of damage, even if you've got some kind of metabolic dysregulation, that kind of thing. Your muscles are going to suck up those carbs.
Like donuts, right?
No, I'm not. No, I always want it to be.
I know there's a few people watching this that say yes.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
some donuts.
yeah, absolutely. I know some people do that. I think that basically your overall goal should be enhancing your health, and there's all kinds of issues with sugar and with those
Right.
highly refined processed foods. So
Yeah.
I would never advocate that. But yes, if you want some carbs, that post-workout 20 to 60 minutes, that's a really good time to get some carbs and protein. Again, that 2-to-1 ratio is a really good rule of thumb, and then play with that. So the one takeaway that I would love everyone to really assess for themselves, you are your own N=1 experiment. You have to figure out what works for your body. If you have some food sensitivities, if you can't tolerate whey protein, you'll know that. And don't think that there is one prescription out here that is necessary and that you're going to shrivel up and have no muscles. You know, if you don't get that in. There's all kinds of different forms of protein, different forms of carbs, different timing on this stuff. And so it is a little bit more nuanced than we want to kind of believe. So I'd like to touch on the last question.
Okay, yeah, and we kind of already did, yeah. So what are we going to avoid? What food should we avoid?
So a lot of times that I see going into the gym, you'll see these just kind of horrendous supplements that people are drinking, these kind of pink drinks, you know, basically they're chemical cocktails, and they're oftentimes packed with artificial sweeteners, artificial colors, and way too much caffeine. So that's going to cause you to be jittery. It can often cause GI distress during the workout. It's just really tough on, you know, your liver has to metabolize all those chemicals. It's not necessary. You can do all of this in a clean way, enhance your health overall, and still see the performance and the gains and weight loss that you want without indulging in those kind of overhyped, oversold chemical brews. The other thing that I think is really important is avoid a heavy meal pre-workout. Yeah, you really want to have a good 3 hours. I mean, everybody processes food differently, but if you come in to a hard workout and you've eaten a big meal an hour prior, you're not going to feel very good.
Can you tell them why exactly that's not optimal real quick? To
Well,
have your stomach full of food?
Yeah, well, there are several reasons. I mean, I guess the most important one is that all of the blood will be, you know, working. You know, your body's energy is diverted to digestion, and it cannot be sent to the muscles to, you know, be working out hard. But also, you know, a lot of fiber in your system. GI distress is something that I see a lot in the gym. So if you've got a lot of fiber, a lot of fat, those are very slow to digest. So if you are going to have a meal a few hours prior, have that be low fat, protein, and some carbs. A balanced meal, but just not a lot of
Keep
food.
it small.
Yeah.
All right, that's important for you 5 and 6 a.m.ers, rolling out of bed and coming in right away.
Yep, absolutely.
Maybe some branched chain amino acids
Yep.
and a quick small snack maybe.
Small snack of carbs, again, depending on your goals. You know, carbs pre-workout may not be necessary depending on what you're doing. So important to consider. So really take your own situation into account, and if you have questions, I mean, shoot them my way.
Yeah, so well, thanks again, Lisa. You can shoot those questions to her at, let me make sure I get it right, primalfitict@gmail.com.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, thanks guys.